Hello, my friends, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Before we get into the interview with GrandPooBear, I just want to say how excited I am to bring you this Legends of Mario content. This is something that's been in my brain for many, many years. It's something I've wanted to do for a very long time, and I'm beyond pumped that I finally got to do it. My hope is that there are many more episodes of this Legends of Mario interview series where I will talk to your favorite Mario content creators, whether they're playing Mario Odyssey, Mario Wonder, Mario Maker, whatever it might be. As somebody that has been playing Mario since basically I was born, I realized the skill that is involved to be a top player in all of these Mario games. A lot of people think they're easy, but there's so much to it. So my hope is that these interviews will shed some light on what it takes to be a top player and the skills needed to be a legend of Mario. Please enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the Legends of Mario interview. Ooh. I don't know. I don't really have a name for it yet. We're just calling it Legends of Mario. I'm super excited that my first guest is not only a legend of Mario, but a legendary friend of mine, GrandPooBear.
What an introduction. That was like the best one I think I've ever gotten.
Don't tell him that. That took
anything
like
ever,
3 tries. No, that was actually first try, which is very rare with me. Very rare. Pooh, thank you so much again for agreeing to do this. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time.
Of course.
I'm going to be asking Pooh some very interesting questions. I'm going hard in the paint. I was telling Pooh, these are not softball questions. These are questions he's going to have to think about, and there might even be, I didn't tell you this, there's going to be a trivia question for a chance for you to get some gift subs as well. If you get it right,
oh my
I'm going to
God,
gift subs.
I love that. I love that.
That's going to be like the intermission. That's like halfway through, and then
okay.
So if you do well, you'll get some gift subs.
Wow, that's a genius idea. I'm coming on it just for the gift subs.
That's what I'm saying. I got to incentivize other people to come on, right?
Of course.
So, Pooh, we're going to start this off. I'm going to have you go all the way back. I'm going to make you really dig deep in your brain here. So, This is called the Legends of Mario podcast. And, this is something I've always been interested is, as someone that has played Mario my whole life, thousands of hours, I still see that there are levels to this game, like where, there are just so many great players. And when I think of great Mario players, you are the first one that comes to my mind. I'm like, I think Mario, I think GrandPooBear. So this is really cool that you're on the first episode. So the first question is, do you remember the very first time you played Mario and what game that was?
Yeah, actually, I do remember the very first Mario experience I had. I was 3 or 4. And my sister's 10 years older than me, and she was babysitting me, and my parents left, and then they came back with a Nintendo, and then they set it up, and then we had Mario 1 and Duck Hunt, and I played Mario 1 and Duck Hunt for ever. So that was like my first, that was my first game, first NES. I still have that. It doesn't work anymore, but I still actually have that.
You just have it as like a memento type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I still have that one, and so that was the first Mario game I ever played. So I had Mario, and then I got Mario 2, Mario 3, as they, I guess, arrived in the U.S. So I guess would be the appropriate thing. Yeah. So
did you love it right away, or was it something like, did you like other games first and then?
No, I would say that don't get me wrong, I always played every Mario game. Like I definitely loved Mario. But it wasn't like I only played Mario. I played so many different games. Like I had, we lived relatively close to a rental store. So I would go and trade out games a ton. I loved Mega Man growing up. I loved Duck Hunt growing up. I actually still love Duck Hunt even now.
Duck Hunt is slept on, I think.
Duck Hunt's kind of dope. And it's not as easy as people think. There's like a 10,000 point speed run.
Oh yeah, I've never seen that actually.
Yeah, is how it works, and it's not like it's. I don't know. You gotta physically move your hands, so it helps to be on a smaller TV. I will say for that. But yeah, the those were probably my games, growing up was definitely like Mega Man and Mario. And then there'd be like random stuff. Like I had Terminator 2 on NES, like because growing up like back then, you played what you had access to,
Right.
And
100%.
so something either you had it or your friend let you borrow it. It was one of those. So
Right.
a lot of Zelda 1. I loved Zelda 1 growing up. I loved both quests.
Right.
Um, this game Adventures of Lolo was really big for me
Okay.
as a kid. I
I'm
don't know if you
familiar
ever
with it.
played.
I've never played it.
Okay, it's like a little puzzle game. And the funny thing about that is that's the one I spent like the 1-900 Nintendo Power number. I called it one time to get Adventures of Lolo tips, and then I didn't know would cost money. Like I had no idea. It
I was
just
gonna
was like
ask, was that the first and last call?
not the last, but it was the last time I did it without asking my parents. That's for sure.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. So it was kind of yeah. So yeah, and then I got Super Nintendo. I think 91 ish. So
Okay. You were an early adopter of the Super Nintendo.
yeah, my dad and me waited in line, and
Oh, that's such a
then
cool memory.
yeah, he wasn't a gamer at all, but he just like by that point I was like hardcore. I loved it, and we got it, and then I had to wait till Christmas.
Oh,
Like it was like that.
right, right. You knew you had it, but then you had to wait.
Mm, mm,
So, okay, so that kind of explains, your introduction to,
mm.
well, not just Mario, but like video games in general. Um, Something I'd like to share with the viewers is like I know a little bit about your backstory, but I know there's a lot of people that still don't. What was your like inspiration to start streaming, and like what made you decide to start streaming?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, I before this, like in my 20s, pretty much, I was a snowboarder. I went to the University of Colorado, dropped out, moved deeper into the mountains, tried to become a pro snowboarder, moved to Tahoe, tried harder and harder and harder, and was doing, like like I was making it by and like trying to do everything I could. And then I was on the mountain one day at Heavenly Mountain, and I got hit by a skier who was just kind of like out of control, going too fast. A really big Texan guy in jeans, like pretty stereotypical type of type of person that would hit you on the mountain. But he was really big, and I'm not a giant dude, and it caused a lot of problems for me. I broke my kneecap, I tore my MCL, I broke my L1 vertebrae, and then I had a ton of internal injuries. My spleen like exploded and was bleeding. My intestines were bleeding, so that was really bad. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Get out of the hospital for a week. Got to go back in because I have a bunch of fevers. Turns out I have infections, and then I was just like
Dang.
the next like 3-ish months ish, I was in and out, just like getting my infections drained
Right, right.
so like I would like have like a operation or surgery or like a little procedure even sometimes, and I would feel good, and then I'd be like, let's go, and then they'd be like, no, and
Yeah.
then I was like, I hate you, and then yeah, and so that's how it went, and yeah, it just yeah, from there I was really bored. So like the next winter rolled around, and I was super bored because like all my friends went back on the mountain. Like so like during the summer, it happened like in April. So all summer long, like my friends are coming, they're hanging out with me. Like I just
Right.
generally have things going on like to keep my mind off of the winter rolls around and like everyone's back on the mountain and I'm kind of like alone. And one of my buddies asked me if I wanted to play Halo or if I wanted to watch him play Halo online. And I said, why the would I want to watch you play Halo online? Like I lived with you. I didn't like
Right.
watching you play Halo then. Um, but I did, and I got hooked. He had like 45 viewers, and I was just like, this is awesome. So I started like flipping through Twitch on my Xbox. It was on my Xbox
Okay.
360, and I started flipping through Twitch. I found a Magic the Gathering tournament. I watched for a while. Uh,
So
like
at
I
this
would like
point, you were like not familiar with, like,
I
like maybe knew
technically
of it.
I was on it before I found out because I had followed Bananasaurus Rex because he did a eggplant the eggplant run of Spelunky, the solo eggplant run.
Okay.
So, so I used to play Spelunky before I even knew about streaming or anything. And then this guy did this like insane, crazy run, and I like heard about it on on Kotaku or
Right,
IGN. I
right,
don't know, one
right.
of those websites like that I was looking at back then. And then and then so I went to Twitch and made an account so I could watch that run when and I was like show my wife. But I didn't realize until I went back and tried to make an account that I had made like that was like a burner name, you know what I mean? Just like a dumb burner name. So I had to use a different email address and everything for my account, which was really funny. For when I actually went to make a Twitch account. So, but that
Right.
was like when I first like really got into Twitch and like knew what it was and like explored the site beyond like that
Right, right,
particular
right.
Bananasaurus Rex thing. Um, and so yeah, so I got on and then my wife got home and I was like, I'm gonna play video games on the internet because I'm lonely and maybe people will talk to me. And yeah, and
Just kind of simple.
and yeah, and nobody did for a long time, So it was, and like 4 or 5 viewers, you know what I mean? I think
I
one of my
absolutely.
yeah, like so for the longest time, like one of my only viewers was this like 14-year-old kid in England, and now that kid's like a grown man getting married and
Crazy,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
I had one of those moments with my viewers. Like he started watching, he was like 12. He's now in college. I'm like,
Mhm.
what is life?
I know, it's
What
just
is time?
insane. Yeah, it's just insane. So, yeah, I hate that. I hate that part, but
Yeah, for sure. So I've done some research. I'm going full
okay.
hot ones questions on you.
Oh, all right.
One of your
Should I eat
first,
wings?
yeah, I wish I should have sent you some wings.
Yeah.
One of your first YouTube videos, you were playing Super Mario 3D World with your wife. Do you remember this? Do you remember playing?
Yeah, I remember playing Smash Brothers with her. I don't know if I
There's some
remember
Smash
playing
Brothers
Mario 3D
content.
World.
You have a playthrough of Super Mario 3D World with your wife, and I'm just
Wow.
curious. At this point, how long had you guys been married? At that point,
Um, that was probably our first year of marriage. So me and my wife got engaged. We dated for 3 years, got engaged, and then that year between getting engaged and getting married is when I got hurt.
gotcha.
So that would be like that first year, that first kind of winterish, right after I got hurt, time. So we had been married maybe like I don't know 4 or 5 months, but we got married 2 months before I started streaming.
Okay. Do,
Yeah.
do you
So she did not marry a streamer.
do you do you remember playing that like Super Mario 3D World with her at all? Like, do you have
Yeah, I
any?
remember. Yeah, we hated playing with each other. To this day, we don't play Mario games together because I try to go to the front of the screen. I'm like
Right.
dragging her along, and she's in the back, trying to look for every stamp and everything. And I'm like, no, let's just go.
Right.
We'll replay the level, like let's go to the next one, like. And yeah, so to this day we don't play like we couldn't even do 2-player hat mode in Mario Odyssey. We tried
Right.
that on a plane one time. She hated playing with me,
Oh
like I
my
just couldn't do it.
gosh, this sounds
Yeah,
so familiar. The
yeah, this
the
is so.
the big
I'm
reason
sure you get the same thing. Yeah.
the big reason why I asked you that question was because I had the same exact situation. Me and Amanda got married. We were
Uh-huh.
broke. We didn't have enough money to go on a honeymoon because we had, put a down payment on our house.
Mhm.
And so basically our honeymoon was playing Super Mario 3D World together. I was like, because it came
That's a
out
good
like
honeymoon though.
couple
Yeah.
couple weeks after we got married, and she hated it. We were it was like a bad start to our marriage because like I would get mad at her and then she'd get mad at me because I just want to get through the levels. And
Yeah,
I
I
just was
get it.
like, I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have
I get
so
it.
many things. I don't think people realize how many things we have in common.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. That was not, I would not say it's peak of our relationship. I think we've had like probably like 4 real fights in our relationship,
Right.
and that video game, the way we go through video games is one of them together.
Another deep dive into your YouTube revealed that it looks like your first speedrun was actually in Super Mario Brothers 3 and not Super Mario World. Is this true?
That is absolutely true. Yeah, but Super Mario Brothers 3 was the very first game I ever speedran. And I had been streaming for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years at that point. Um, honestly. So I had been going already for a while.
Right.
And yeah, my wife. So this is actually an interesting story. My wife came to me and was just like, "How long are you gonna do this?" Because I was streaming to nobody, dude. Like very few people.
Right.
There was no money to be made. It was
Right.
taking up a lot of time. I was editing YouTube videos. Like it was just not going anywhere. I was bad at it, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't
Right.
find my niche yet.
Right.
And man, like it was, yeah, I don't know, it was rough. So she came and was just like, she didn't want me to quit, but she was just like, how long? You know, estimate. And
Right.
I don't know, you know what I mean? I really liked it. I very much enjoyed streaming at the time. I liked, you know, it gave me something to do and someone to play, kind of like play my video games with.
Right.
And I didn't have snowboarding anymore, so like I just needed something. And yeah, so I was like, if I'm going to quit, if I'm going to spend all this time, right, I should get good, really good. I should get good at one game. I should be really good at one game. So at least I can say, if somebody ever talks to me, I can be like, well, you know, I'm pretty good at blah, blah, blah. So I
Right.
picked Mario 3 because it was my favorite video game at the time.
Right.
And yeah, so I started. My whole goal was just to be not last on the leaderboard. There were 16 names. There was at this time there was 16
That's
names
wild.
on the Super Mario Brothers 3 100% leaderboard. 16 names, and my goal was to be number 15. And then you do it as like every speedrunner, you do one, and then you're like, oh, I can go faster. I
Right.
can do better.
Right.
And then you start looking at strats.
World
and
record.
then
That was a trash run.
Yeah, you just keep doing, you just keep going, and you know, you meet people, and then
Right.
runners come in because they're so excited someone new is running the game. Like, because back then, you know, there was 8 Mario 3 runners, really,
Was
you know what I
Mitch
mean? So
running
they
back
got,
then?
yeah, Mitch was running back then. Yeah,
Okay.
Mitch was running back then. And when I first started running, Mitch was not nice to me, actually. He wasn't mean to me, but he
Right.
just didn't give a like, you know, he didn't give a about me, you know. And because I was like asking him questions, and he was just like, I don't know, man, just watch the videos, you know, like blah blah. Cujo was a really big help to me when I first started. Actually, a guy named Oglib was super huge in there, and I used to watch Mitch a ton, and that was like really really big for me. He like watching him helped me a lot. And yeah, so I just started speed running that game as fast as I could up until Mario Maker came out. Honestly, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was basically Mario 3, Mario Maker. What kind of brought you into like Super Mario World and the hacks and things like that?
Well, Mario Maker, so it was just like it was Panga. Yeah, it was Panga. So Panga, I loved Panga's levels, and you know, he'd make one, and I'd go through it, and that was my life. And I set up little speedrun challenges, and like at that time, when Mario Maker first came out, there was literally like Panga's Kaizo levels. That was
Right.
it.
Right.
There weren't any other levels with shell jumps and get Yoshis in midair. Like I remember the first time I saw getting on a Yoshi in midair, it just freaked me out. I was just like, oh,
This
this
is
is the coolest
possible?
thing. Yeah, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Oh my god. And you know, I just got so obsessed with, I think at the time he was 19, you know, this 19-year-old kid's levels
Right.
as a 30-year-old.
Right.
And so once I ran out of Mario Maker levels, I found out that he had made a ROM hack. And so I went and played that. And
Was that Super
that
Dream World?
Super Dram World, yeah.
All
And that
right.
was
So
it.
my
Yeah,
research, you seen all this research, Pooh? All
research,
about the
man.
research. So Super Dream World was your first hack.
Super Dram World was my first hack. Yeah, Super Dram World was my first foray into custom Mario in general. Yeah.
Do you have any like memories from it or anything that stood out when you played it? Like, this is really hard, or like it was just like you were hooked
Oh,
right when you played it?
it was so hard. I thought it was so, each level was taking me, I think it took me like 40 some odd hours to beat the regular version. And then, like, I mean, I didn't even beat the 100% for like another like 6 months because I thought it was so hard.
Right.
Um, and like at the time, it was basically there was just like one other player that had beaten that game in the world. So it wasn't like there was like a ton of people playing it like
Right.
without save
Right.
states. You know what I mean? It was just like, so I just poured like 40, 50 hours into any percent of that game. It took me forever to beat. And I remember thinking it was so hard and the physics were so cool. And then it just was like, I looked at, like, I played it the first time and then the second time I played it, it took me like 4 hours, right? And I was
Right.
like, all right, I'll play it again.
Right.
2 hours. And I started looking at the time that, like, the world record time, it was uncontested.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I can beat that. And then once I beat that, it became this, challenge between me and him. And, we just kept going. And then it became like a real thing.
Right.
Like we started doing speed strats and, then it became like a real speed run, got really good at it. And then all of a sudden, yeah, I don't know.
I love
That was kind of
Panga.
it.
I love Panga.
Yeah. Panga. It's all because of Panga. I owe everything to Panga, honestly. Like, yeah,
I
I
love
would,
hearing that stuff. This is the whole
yeah,
reason I wanted to like do this. Is
not
just
just me.
hearing this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
I've
just me.
heard he's just like an inspiration, and like got
Without
so many people
Panga,
started.
like without Panga, there's a large chance there's no me, there's no Ryu, there's no Barb. Carl's significantly less of a thing, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's a legitimate thing that there's none of us without Panga, you know? Which
Hopefully
is just
Panga will
kind of
be on
crazy
here
to think.
someday, and I can
Yeah.
ask him if he realizes, his importance to the
You can
Mario
you can
community.
you can play that quote back for him right there
I
because
will.
yeah, I mean
Absolutely.
it's real. It is real. I think about it a lot. I mean, I've told him
Right.
a dozen times. He's probably. I think every time I see him, I'm just like, thanks, man. If it wasn't for you, none of this would
Right.
happen. Blah blah blah. So,
And he's probably just like,
um,
yeah, he's just so
yeah,
he's I
that's exactly what he does.
he,
That was a good impression, honestly.
so at Kaiser Coliseum, that was the first time I met Panga, and
Boobs.
I don't know what it is. Panga just has this personality. I just find everything he does hilarious. He's not trying to be funny. Just everything he does and
Oops.
says, I just
Oops.
find hilarious. So I can't wait to hang out with him again sometime.
Yeah, I totally agree on that.
All right. So next question is, it starts off a little bit of a statement, and that is, since I've gotten to know you, you are one of the most confident people I've ever
Whoa.
met, and I love it. I love you for that, because for me, like, my self-confidence is terrible. But so my question is, do you have a moment when you realize, like, man, I'm really good at this? Or was that confidence like always there when you were playing Mario? Or do you have like an aha moment where you're like, man, I'm one of the best at this game, or I'm one of the best Mario players?
God no. Oh God no. So I would say my confidence is generally like jokey fake.
Right.
I would say yes, like I am definitely in a fake it till you make it type
Right.
of thing with that. And I'm better with a camera and a microphone in my face than I am
Right.
in like alone one-on-one situations. I'm just better in groups, I think, than I am in alone one-on-one situations. So, um, that's hard. But no, like I have mad imposter syndrome all the time. Um, for sure. I think there was probably a period in like 2018 where I was probably right before I had the kid, like right before and right after I got signed with Red Bull, like right around GrandPOO
Right.
World 2 time, where I was probably like I feel like I was the best player and I was just playing like out of my mind. I mean, which
Right.
is funny because like now I'm so much better than I was then. Like
Right.
everyone else is too, you know.
Right.
Um, And but like I would confidently say like I was might have been the best in the world at that time. Like I could probably like looking back on it.
Right.
Like even then, like no matter what, I think it is I think all of us I think the thing is like if when you are like good at Mario, like you're really good at Mario, I'm really good at Mario. We both know we're really good at Mario. We both know we're just at Kaizo Coliseum necessarily with a bunch of people that are really good at Mario. But I think I think all of us are all looking at each other and thinking like they're a little bit better than me, which is the interesting thing. You know what I
Right.
mean? I
Right.
think there is a certain amount of that, even if it's just a like certain thing that they think they're better at. Like, oh my, like you know, Beast and Curbs are incredible
Yeah.
blind levels, but they might look at me and be like, oh my god, his shell level game is like on another level. You know what I mean? I
Right.
feel like I'm
Right.
very very good at that. So I think that we all have a bit of imposter syndrome,
Sure.
and we're all also aware that we're pretty decently high of players in the world, you
Right.
know, when it comes to like being able to do those things.
Right.
Um, yeah. So I'm not confident. Like I'm much more like in 2024. I'm much more confident in my skills and like my accomplishments and everything now than I
Right.
used to be. But I think that came from like all those accomplishments and everything came from a deep sense of imposter syndrome.
Well, I love
So
you for
I just
like
like overworked. Yeah, I just like overworked so hard until I got enough things under my belt where I looked back and was like, nobody can take this from me. You know what I mean?
right.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
you knew the work you put into it and
Mm,
well, I mean, like I said, it's infectious and like you bring others up with you and that's just
I
something
try.
I absolutely love. Like you
Yeah.
make everybody feel good about themselves and like it's I don't know, it's incredible. It's you have this energy that is unmatched and I love it.
I try. I do my best, to we all want to be good in the world, right? We all want
Right.
to put out good stuff in the
Right.
world. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's all we can do. Yeah.
Okay, we have two more questions and then the halftime trivia chance for money
I'm
extravaganza.
excited. I'm excited about that.
Okay, so the next question is according to speedrun.com, you currently have one world record.
Just one right now?
That's
Oh,
what it
dang.
says.
I wish we would have recorded this before I lost GrandPOO World
I
2.
saw that. I'm like,
GrandPOO
oh
World
man.
3.
When I was making
Yeah,
the
I had it.
questions, you actually did have that world record.
God.
And the world record is in advanced shells.
100%.
Do you,
Did you go through how many second places I had?
you got quite a few.
Yeah, it was
I didn't know if
quite a
that would
bit
be a
more.
touchy subject. That actually kind of leads into my question. It's not so much
Yeah.
about your world record in advanced shells. It's more so, can you talk about your experience of, when you are a high profile, high level player, you kind of get a target on your back when it
A little.
comes to
Yeah.
gaming. So does that, in your opinion, does that motivate you to get better? Does it annoy you? Has your perspective changed like when it first started happening, like people beating your records and stuff like that? How has that felt like knowing, there's people want to beat you? How does that make you feel?
Yes to all of those.
Okay.
No, I mean like no, it is an honor in a lot of ways. It is also like yeah, it's an honor. It's like super cool that people like especially if like they're pretty honest, they're trying to target you. There used to be like hashtag Bop the Bear, which was pretty funny people used to use, and I used to really like that. Like it made me feel, cool and
Right,
good.
right,
And I enjoyed that stuff. Um, Super Ben systematically went for those Dram World records,
right,
and that was pretty cool because those records were really good and really hard to beat. They were really, 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 really good speed runs. Like they were speed runs,
right, right.
and so it was really cool when he beat those. I held those for like, you know, 4 years, breaking my own records and stuff. So that was really fun when he beat those. But it also kind of hurt at the same
Yeah,
time because, um, like I just woke up one day and someone was like, "Yo, your Dram World 200% record went down," and I knew, like once that happened, that they were all going
right.
because I wasn't it had been, it'd been a while, and I just wasn't feeling that game, and it wasn't bringing the viewers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Things like that,
Right.
and that kind of sucked. Where I kind of like felt like, oh, that they're gone. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And I also then that also like the pandemic like really led to like I lost a lot of records in the pandemic. I think I
Oh, yeah, that's a
lost,
good point.
yeah, probably like a dozen or so. Some good ones, some like generic Kaizo ROM hack. Nobody plays this game records,
Yeah.
but still, the fact that people went after him is
Right.
it's
Yeah.
it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's cool that someone can. I don't know. Like I like that people might use my beating me as like a bench stone or a benchmark.
Right.
That's really like a cool
For
feeling,
sure. Because
I
someone
think.
might not have even been interested in that game, but they saw you and
Yeah.
had the world record and like, I love this guy. I want to beat him. I want to say I'm better at him at something.
Or fuck this guy. You know what I
Right.
mean?
That
Either
too.
one.
That is absolutely a possibility as well. Hopefully it's the first part, not
Hopefully, you know. I mean, but I'm sure there's been a few.
right. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Actually, you want to know? I'll give you a good story
Yeah,
about
please. Absolutely. I love
about
this.
probably the only person that's ever been mean to me about speedrunning in general. I won't say their name, but it was the person who I broke my first world record in Kaizo Super Mario Brothers 3.
Okay.
And so I had met Mitch at GDQ, and we had become friends through Mario Maker, and I commentated his Kaizo Mario 3 run. Then I went home and played it, started speedrunning that, and then Mitch was like, "Yo, I'm gonna help you get your first world record." And so Mitch is literally like feeding me new strats and stuff, like stuff he hadn't done, like just like classic Mitch style, because that's what he does. And he's like, I'm like, why are you. Just like to be cool. He didn't
Right.
want to run it, but
Right.
he was just like feeding me some, hey, do this, hey, do this. And so I beat this guy, right? And this guy, it didn't take me long, right? He had been working on this game for a while. And
Right.
he had just gotten it, and I bopped his record in like a week. It was really, it did. I understand why he probably got annoyed, right? Like I understand
Yeah.
hindsight
Yeah.
why he got
Yeah.
annoyed because he
Yeah.
had been working on it for a while to beat Mitch, and
Yeah.
then Mitch gives me all these strats he had been holding back, and then I just beat this. You know what I mean? And this guy was like went off on his stream. It was like, I mean, at the time I had like 80 viewers, and he had a group of viewers like 20, 25
Right. Right.
viewers. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it was such pointless drama, but he went just screaming about this thing on his stream, and it was really funny. And then he sent me a DM about it, like you're not a real world record holder, blah blah blah, all these things because you didn't come up with the strats. And yeah, so that was the only time anyone's ever been
Oh
mean to me about a
man.
record. He never held it ever again either.
You made him quit. He quit.
Oh no, he didn't
You
quit. He went on,
Oh,
but no,
okay.
never got it ever again.
Oh man. Sorry if you're watching. I'm not laughing at you. I'm well, kind of laughing at you. Um okay, so is there or was there ever a world record you were most proud of? Like maybe you put the most time in, or like it just felt, was it the first world record in Kaizo 3 you're talking about? Is there a world record you're
No.
like ever most proud to have?
I think just like holding Dram 1 for so long I was really proud of that. How long I held that record. I had a few runs that were close to perfect. I never had a perfect run, but I had a few runs that were really, really, really close to literally perfect in that game. That made me pretty happy. I honestly kind of never thought that would be broken no matter what. So like Super
Yeah.
Ben is an incredible player for doing that. Um, the the Dram 2 run, the 100% run on that was like when I first did it was um I think way above and beyond what anyone was doing in the community as far as like speedrunning Kaizo games. The amount of strats that were in it were just incredibly difficult and like awesomely game breaking. It was such a cool, it really was a cool speedrun to look at, but it was so hard and so
Right.
annoying that I just couldn't do it. But it made me good at Cape, which I appreciated. Um, I'm really proud of the two speedruns I'm probably most proud of, period, are probably my Baron of Shell run at Speedrun Sessions Chicago,
Okay.
actually, that I had Christmas time 2022, and then Baron of Shell at SGDQ last year. I slayed both of those runs so hard, and it's such a hard game to run live, and I just smacked it both
Absolutely.
times. So yeah, those ones I actually felt like really really good. Like I was in the zone, I was vibing. I had the crowd
Yeah,
like
and the
in
fact that
my
you did it in
hand.
front of a live audience, like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Like I almost PB'd on both of them.
That's crazy. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people,
So it was just like,
nerves. It's one thing to stream it and people are watching, but to be like in front of people and like hearing the crowd cheering and stuff like that, some people would let the nerves get to them, but it sounds like it
I'm
makes you
pretty
play better. You know what I mean?
Not always. I'm pretty lucky in that I have played live probably more than in front of a crowd more than any other speedrunner in the world
Right.
because of my tour, A, at this point, and B, I've done so many I did so many GDQs. Like I didn't miss a GDQ until my son was born, and then I did three more straight. Yeah, I've just done a lot of them, and I have multiple runs in a grip of them. So like I've had it all. Like I've had good runs, I've had bad runs. I've been timed out at a GDQ. Like I've been timed out. My very first run, me and Mitch got timed out together. I've won races, I've lost races. So at this point I've had every experience,
Right.
right? I know that if this is the worst speed run ever, I know people will still be there for the next one.
Right.
And if I have the best speed run ever, I know no one will give it tomorrow.
Right.
Like that's the one
That's a
thing I've
great
realized.
outlook, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Neither one are really going to matter too greatly.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
But
that.
it matters to me because I want to put on a good show.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah.
Awesome.
But
We have reached halftime. We have
all right.
reached the trivia question. If you get this trivia question correct, you will get 5 gift subs from me.
Let's go.
If you don't get it right,
That's like 10 gift subs.
it is.
Yeah.
If you don't get it right, there's really no consequence, but it's just I haven't come up with a consequence yet, so maybe next person I interview will have a consequence. So
Okay.
this question, I actually came up with it from watching your old content when I was doing research for these questions. So when Mario Maker 1 first released,
Okay.
what was the color of the P switches? I'll accept 2 different answers here.
Well, okay, so I'm thinking of P is for pain. And I remember these orange P switches.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. Yeah, I was watching it back through, and I was watching you play a level. I don't even remember what level it was. It was like your first Mario Maker video you uploaded. You beat this hard level, and I'm like, what the heck was that? And I rewound it, and it was a P switch, but it was like orange. I was like, what? I did not remember them being that color.
I feel that's so funny because I totally forgot that they totally they changed the color.
Yeah. I like.
P
Well, I don't.
switch or
That's such a
something.
weird thing to change. Like, do you remember in Mario Maker 1 how there was like no checkpoints when the game first came out?
There was no checkpoints when the game first came out. There was Mario Maker 1 was rough, honestly, when it first
It
came
was
out.
why it was crazy for sure. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations! I owe you 5 gift subs. I'll get those to you ASAP. All right, you got time for a couple more questions?
Of course, man. I got time for as many as you want,
Oh,
baby.
you are the best. I appreciate it. So now that we're talking a little bit about Mario Maker, you've
Okay.
actually had an interesting history with Nintendo where they've deleted a ton of your levels, and it feels like for really no reason in particular. Do you have any like thoughts on that? Like why? Do you have any thoughts at all about that stuff?
No, I mean, there's like a ton of speculation. Like, so many people thought it was because of Pooh, but I mean, they have an Earthbound character named Pooh.
Right.
I was like, I called their Nintendo hotline, and they specifically told me it wasn't about that, which was weird. And it just was, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It just was a thing. And I don't know if it became a meme or was magically someone that just didn't like me or like
Right.
a report thing. Like, I just got over-reported, or it could have been anything.
Does
So,
it?
yeah.
I'm sure it bothered you at the time. When you think about it now, does it still bother you, or is it more like?
Oh no, it's the best thing. One of the best things that ever happened to me. Like, honestly, and this is something weird. Like a lot of times where I think like, oh, this is the worst thing that could happen to me, ends up being some of the best. Few exceptions that
Right.
were
Right.
actually, but yeah, a lot of the worst things like getting hurt in snowboarding directly led to streaming.
Right.
And all the great things that I get to now have and enjoy.
Right.
Nintendo deleting my levels got me in kind of tight with like the news orgs at the
Oh
time.
yeah. Yeah.
I got to go on IGN's Nintendo podcast.
Oh, that's
Kotaku
sick.
wrote, yeah, I got to like visit IGN in San Francisco. Kotaku wrote about me, Wall Street Journal wrote about the deleting my levels. Like it became like it was like the news thing, the gaming news thing of
Right.
the week for that week. It was really weird. People were being really mean about me. People were being nice and supportive.
Right.
And so in that way it was really, really good. Like it got your name out there.
Absolutely.
I wish like I would have just like I didn't realize it would be like, that big. So I wish I would have just like presented myself better,
Right.
make a better first impression for some people. But, I was annoyed and angry,
Yeah,
younger,
absolutely.
and so,
Well, level making takes a lot of time, and you put. It's like
yeah,
it's almost like art, man. You put it out in the world, and you want people to appreciate it and enjoy it.
and they had been like a lot of these levels had been up for a long time at that point,
Yeah.
like I had been, it was like my first like really almost I would just like almost gone full time right then.
Right.
And that was the other thing. I thought it was gonna like ruin me. I thought people were gonna like label me a cheater. Like there was like Reddit
Right.
threads that like they thought I was cheating and things like that. Because like I remember seeing like, how could have this guy, he didn't speedrun any games before, like blah blah blah, like he wasn't good at anything, and now he's just da da da. He just shows up at GDQ
Right.
like there were threads
Yeah.
about it. And like at the time I was reading it all because I got nothing better to do, at the
Right.
time I
Right,
read
right.
everything.
Yep.
So yeah, I was just nervous, and it was my first like bouts of like attention,
Sure.
hate watching, things like that. I wish like I could go back and like be better at all that, but it also like made me cut my teeth pretty quick, which
Right.
was good, I guess. So yeah, it was all good. Hindsight is really good. In hindsight, I think it's funny. In hindsight, every Mario Maker 1 level is getting deleted, so who cares?
That's such a great way to end that. That's just like poetic. No, that's really cool. See, I didn't do enough research because my research didn't lead me to a Wall Street Journal entry. So
Oh man,
I'm gonna get on my interns for not putting that on my desk.
A bajillion. Yeah, there was. I mean, because it was like that was also when I first realized that 95% of gaming news is one person reports it and then just people re-report that report.
Right. Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. This is a question I'm really excited about. So obviously GrandPOO World 3 just came out not too long ago. And, the GrandPOO World hacks are some of the most beloved, and like, I don't know, everyone loves seeing the GrandPOO World games come out. So my question is like, how did that come about that Barb wanted to put your name in those hacks? And I know you have a long, rich story with them in general. So I just want to hear like, what are your thoughts and feelings when you talk about GrandPOO World, like the series, the 3 games?
Well, at the time, like ROM hacking starting to get bigger and bigger, and it's like year and a half, maybe two after my first Dram World run, and people are getting hacks named after him. Ryu got a hack named after him. I don't know if you ever played that one.
No.
There was just and people and everyone just like, oh, are you gonna get a hack named after you? And I was like, I don't want anyone to name one after me unless Barb makes it, because Barb had already made a Mario 3 hack at that time. I loved his Mario Maker levels. He was, a up and coming budding streamer. I had a good amount of viewers at the time, so I just kind of bullied Barb into doing it. Really, with my viewers. I think he probably was going to do it anyway. Like, I think he
Right.
was honestly always planning on doing that. But I definitely bullied, and I let it know that I would only want Barb to ever make me one. So if Barb didn't do it, no one would ever make me one if Barb didn't do it, so I feel like, yeah, and no, and it's meant a lot to me. Not only because he made a hack, like, and named it after me, right? Because there's lots of hacks that were named after people, but
Right.
also it was just like even in GrandPooO World 1, there were these like touches of, like, I appreciate you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I don't know. It was kind of uh I don't know. Barb's like one of the very few people that's just like, that's definitely like given more than I could give them
Right.
to me in my life, like very, very few. And so it's meant a lot, like with those games specifically. Like, I'm specifically talking about those games
Right.
when I say that, not even just going beyond like raids and friendship and
Right.
times he's come to MMC, but um, they're really, really special. But what makes it more special is that they're, at the end of the day, as good as those games are, as amazing as those games are, they're really made for me.
Right.
Um, there are things in there that are specifically things that I like. There's songs that I like. There's references.
That's so cool.
There's references to a lot of people now, but there's things for me. The puzzles are not
Right.
for everyone else. That's for me. Like, I love escape rooms. I love puzzles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's for me. A lot of people hate the puzzles. So yeah, it means a lot.
That's
It's just
awesome.
it's really cool. Yeah. I always joke, like, I'm the type of person that, like, I hug you and tell you I love you every time I see you, and invite you to annoying things you don't want to come to and stuff like that. That's how I show my love. And Barb's the type of person that, will act annoyed by you for, what I mean, act annoyed by you, not call you back or whatever, but then he drops this, like, immense amount of love and things that are like, it has references to things that, like, you only know if you pay attention. You know what I
Right.
mean? So yeah,
Yep.
it means a lot.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
think that's so
yeah,
cool. I think it's so cool.
yeah. And me and Barb, like, we're just so, like, linked in our, like, life of streaming
Right.
in that way. So
Absolutely. I was
yeah.
actually at your stream when you beat GrandPOO World 2 for the first time. And at the time, you said that was the best video game you had ever played. Not just Mario game. You said that was the best video game you'd ever played. Do you still feel that way? Or do you feel GrandPOO World 3 has surpassed that?
I think I like 3 better than 2 after playing them both a lot. I got to admit, I like 3 a whole lot. I think 3 is super fun and creative and just very visually pleasing all the way through. Not that 2 isn't. 2's
Right.
utterly incredible.
Not trying to make you compare them. I know they're both
Mm.
great. I
Neither,
just
neither. You know what? But Spelunky 2 is better than both, honestly. No, I'm joking. Honestly, the best game of all time is Boulder Gate 3. So it doesn't matter.
Speaking of,
Yeah, it
When are we
doesn't
playing
matter.
Baldur's
Baldur's
Gate
Gate
3?
3. Anytime, baby. You
Dude,
name
I've
it.
been
You
wanting
name
to
it.
play. I've been wanting to play so
Listen.
bad. I've watched you play a ton of incredibly difficult levels, incredibly difficult hacks. Is there one that stands out in your mind, whether that's a Mario Maker level or a hack, as like the hardest that you've played? And then you're just like so super thrilled like when you beat it.
Well, Val's okay. The level that was the hardest for me, and it's not the hardest level I've played as far as the amount of skill it takes to do certain thing, but at the time, the hardest level for me was this level called Val's Airspace, and
Okay.
it took me 100 hours to beat the level, and it was degrading, and it was definitely like my journey from, um, you know, baby Kaizo player to I can beat anything
Right.
Kaizo player. Like that was it. And it took me 100 hours. It was a Mario Maker level. It was basically like, man, I think it was that first December. It was that first winter that Mario Maker was out. And it was probably one of the first Kaizo levels I played that wasn't Panga, made by Panga,
Okay.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just took me so long. I had gotten to the end so many times. Like I remember one time I got to the end like 4 runs in a row, and I just couldn't make the end trick. And
Yeah.
I make it in practice all the time. I just couldn't do it, whatever it was. And then I finally got it, and it was the biggest. I just remember it was the biggest relief because it got to the point where I thought like I can't
Yep.
beat this, and I was just going every day, just playing as much as I could, and just trying to beat it. And yeah, that was the one. That
That's
was the
awesome.
one. That was definitely the one.
I
I
love
mean,
hearing that.
since then I've beat harder levels, but that was the
That's
one
the
that
one that sticks out.
100 hours, man. Nothing ever came close. Yeah, no other level came close.
That's so cool. I can't wait to see that. Is that on
Yeah.
your YouTube somewhere? Like you beating that?
Yeah. That's on my.
I gotta see that.
I think it's just like one level, like probably like a 2-minute video.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Hundreds of hours
The
to be
first
done in
time.
like 2 minutes.
Hmm.
That's so cool. So that was Mario Maker 1, you said. Was there like a hack that sticks out in your head that was like maybe the most difficult hack you've completed? I watch you play those shell hacks, and it blows my mind. Like I can't even comprehend the inputs that like you're doing. And that's like one of the big reasons why I want to do this podcast is because, or this interview is because, you know, people see Mario, 2D Mario, and they assume, oh, you know, it's just easy left to right, get to the goalpost. But for those that know Mario, knows the insane difficulty level that there can be in these levels. And I just have such a deep admiration, I guess you would say, for the skills that you have. And I don't know, it just blows my mind the things that you're able to do.
I appreciate that because I have an admiration for your skills. So I appreciate that. No, Super Chefy World 2 really kicked my ass.
Okay.
That one really kicked my ass. And again, at the time, like now we've played, they're much harder. Like I think Baron of Shell is much harder than that one now. But at the time, man, that one was pretty effing tough and just really rocked me. And also was the first one that made me like really start to take care of my hands too. That was like
Right.
that hack was a turning point for me in just the way I take care of specifically my hands. I wish I was as good with the rest of my body as I am with my hands. Yeah. So,
Cool.
yeah.
See, I love hearing like even small things like that. I find fascinating. Like there's a hack that made you realize, you know, your hands are your money makers, you know, in a
Yeah.
sense. So
Super Chevy 2 was interesting if you guys haven't seen it either. It's like a shell hack, but he makes the shells all Mario Maker speed. So instead of
interesting.
they throw slower. So you can do mid-airs like really, really, really easy in this game. And everything's just generally easier, and it's just got so much, especially for the time, a lot of cool ASM in it. So I think still visually like one of the better hacks out there, personally. So if you guys ever check that out, it's a really, really good one.
All right, so we obviously know you're a legend of Mario, but kind of an off the wall question here. If you could be a legend at one other video game, like master of it, is there a certain game like you wish you could be, like you could say you were like the best in the world at a game? It can be for monetary reasons, like, oh man, I want to be the best Minecrafter because I can make tons of money, or is it like a personal game, like game you played as a kid you want to be the best at?
I would love to have Shroud's aim.
Okay.
That's what I would love. I would love to be able to aim in first-person shooters. I have horribly bad aim. I've got fast fingers, but I don't know, my mouse just doesn't mouse correctly. Yeah, I don't know if I get nervous when people start shooting, and I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't work for me. I've tried like the aim, not aim bots, but like the games to improve your aim. Aim labs is what it's called. Games like that. Try to improve my aim. I'm chronically bad. So any shooter, really, Fortnite, Valorant, anything that the bros love. I wish I was.
That's so cool. I didn't. I mean, I obviously knew you liked.
I love survival games and
FPS,
things like that. So like, yeah, like I would love to play Tarkov, which is a game that I really like. But I'm so bad at it that I can't. There's nothing entertaining about that.
Right.
Like I'm like painfully mediocre at those types of games. So yeah, I wish I was really good at that.
Yeah, that was the funny thing. Like when I was researching and looking back through all your old YouTube videos and like seeing
Rust,
like seeing all sorts of first person shooters and things. It was really cool to see, like, trying to find your footing and where, like you said, finding your niche earlier.
Yeah, well, I mean, to this day, I still love survival games. I'm obsessed with POO World right now.
Right.
I love survival games. Rust hooked me. DayZ was the first game I wanted to stream. Rust was the first main game I streamed. I loved those games so much. I still love them. I think there's so much drama in them, and like the idea that you just lose everything you've gained.
Right.
Very roguelike situation is just fun. It's fun for me. It gets the adrenaline going. You feel good. You're like, I just ruined that person's day. Oh, like it's awesome. You kill someone in Tarkov, take all their stuff. It's like, ha ha, got everything you worked for.
And then you die, and like, oh.
Yeah, and then it's the same thing, But that's what's hard about those games. They all end in heartbreak. Like that's the only way they're gonna end. Is heartbreak. So.
Awesome. All right. So as gaming dads, me and you are both dads.
Yes.
I get asked questions all the time about, my kids and streaming when they get older and playing games. So this is told you I was going to go hard in the paint. Do you have a LeBron James type goal where you hope to be streaming full time alongside your son someday, like where he gets old enough to stream?
I mean, he's only 8 years from it. I'll say this. He is already starting. Speedrunning's already appealing to him.
Mm-hmm.
He very much likes Mario Wonder a lot. And so playing in a GDQ with him would be a really, really cool thing.
How sick would that be?
If that's something he would want to do,
right?
Like playing in a marathon and do a live run with him, that would be kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. I would very much love that. Even if it's like something where my career's over in 5 years and we do it like 3 or 4 years after that, and we have that like that moment like, oh, remember him, like
right.
Remember this old man.
That would be so cool. That question came up. I'm like, I just can picture stuff like that. You guys playing something together, whatever it is. I don't know. I just think that'd be fantastic. That'd be really cool. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
in terms of your family as well, this question came from my wife, and Amanda wanted me to ask, what does your wife think about your career and how far you've come? You kind of touched on this a little bit, but I was hoping you could go a little deeper in her thoughts on the world that we live in.
I mean, I think I think at first it was a bit of a double-edged sword especially when it first started happening. I think at first it was, she didn't sign up for this, right? She married a snowboarder.
Right.
So she was like, we were in the mountains, small mountain town, ski town type of vibe, doing ski town type of things. Um, and this slowly started to like consume our lives. And then I slowly started to get attention. And so those things were really hard.
Right.
Um, eventually we realized it would be way easier for her to stay home and we would make at least the same money,
Right.
if she stayed home, and then it ended up making more, and so she stayed home before we even had a kid, like for a few years,
Right.
just to help me out, and just consumed so much of us, um, that I think it was hard to like share me with the world
Right.
a little bit at first, but that's something you grow into. It gets easier. Um, and something like ways we figured out how to like prioritize the important things when we
Right.
have to, and also like she's learned that like there's some days, some weeks, so, and at least 1 or 2 months a year where I gotta go hard, like
Right.
I'm gonna
Right.
be a game might come out or a bunch of things line up, and I'm gonna be MIA, or I just get really obsessed with the game, which is like a good thing in our industry, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because we
Right. Right.
just want to work harder when you get really obsessed with something, a game. And so now that like I think that was like a hard thing that we had to learn to balance, and it took time and communication and just talking and being very loving with each other, and it now it's great. It's super
Right.
easy. It's amazing. But it was definitely a multi-year adjustment because it kept adjusting.
So
It just kept,
different.
yeah, it kept being different and changing. The money was different, the responsibilities were different. Once Red Bull came along, everything became overdrive.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's just all been, something that she just has been awesome with and rolls with, and we've been amazing about. It's never been like
Absolutely.
a problem. It's never been, she's never been angry or it's
Right.
always just been like, this is what I need. Either one of us, this is what I need. Um, well, this is what I have to do. How do we work around it? How do
Right.
we make it work? Type of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know for me, like, and I'm sure it's the same with you, my wife is the unsung hero. Like the things that she
Mm-hmm.
does to let me do what I do will
Mm-hmm.
never get noticed or appreciated by anybody but me. But like I couldn't do what I do, without her. And I'm like I said, I'm sure that's the same for you.
Yeah.
Um
Absolutely.
yeah, so I guess one last question before we
Okay.
go. Okay, actually, one last question and then a bonus last question. So I'm gonna try to end this with, hopefully we have future guests on this. We'll see how this goes. But the rumors of a new Switch are heating up. They've been, that's been talked about for a couple years now. But if you know we ever get a Mario Maker 3, the chances I know are slim. But let's say you can have one thing added, just one thing. What would you like added to Mario Maker? One thing.
Uh, Mario Paint abilities for backgrounds and music.
Oh, that's a great answer.
Yes.
That's a great answer. And
I
it makes
would I
sense for it
I
too.
think if I had different backgrounds and different music in Mario Maker, I think I would still be playing in Mario Maker 2. Like they even if no other items were still in there, if I just had those things, I think I would still be pretty dang hooked.
I agree with like
Mhm.
that's something, I don't think about often, but as I'm sitting here like I'm with you. Like I also get so tired of the music. Like you're hearing the
Mhm.
same music and yeah, the backgrounds. That's such a good answer. That's
Yeah,
such a
there's
good
I mean
answer.
like you want lava, it's like you're in a castle.
Right.
Every time if there's lava, you're in a castle no
Right.
matter what. And exhausting, you know, like it's
Right.
exhausting. You're going to hear that thing. And there's tons of reasons why you would want lava in your level. There's tons of reasons logistically, gameplay wise, to want lava in your level. So you're just stuck with that background and that music. Not even like a light castle, a dark castle, a brown castle, a green castle. You know what I mean? If we
Right.
just even had just a little bit of options for these things, it would go such a long way to making levels not, they'd be distinguished in your mind, because so
Right.
many now, like at this point, you've played so many Mario Maker levels, they run together, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
If they had, oh man, remember that level with, you know, Elton John cover? Like that level was really cool. It had that cool gimmick,
Right.
you know, where you played the Piano Man. Like it was, yeah, it was, I don't know.
That's a fantastic answer. Cool.
Yeah.
So, very last question. It's a little bit of a bonus question. The people want to know, and by people I mean me and Amanda.
Okay.
When is the Melvin cosplay coming back?
Melvin's dead. Oh yeah, he died. That's canon in GrandPooBear stream lore. He died many years ago. Yeah, unfortunately.
This is a sad note to end on. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
he is. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. My cousin Melvin, which is just me in a costume, is super dead though in lore in GrandPooBear
I missed
GrandPooBear
that.
lore. Yeah.
My interns who researched this let me down on that.
Oh yeah,
that
super
question.
dead. Yeah, in real lore.
What a way to end this. No, that was all my questions. I want to take this time. Is there anything you want to add, like plug, channel, upcoming stream, whatever? Anything you want to add?
Kaizo Coliseum coming back in August. Be on the lookout for that. No, that's it. I got nothing else. No, I'm just happy to always get time with you, man.
You are the
It's always
best.
exciting.
This was
No, man, I appreciate you. Like we talked about it. Like, some people just click, man. You're my homie. So, anytime you ever want to do anything, dude, I'm gonna say yes. So,
Baldur's Gate 3 right after this.
Yeah. Well, all right. Right after this,
I better go to bed first. Thank you. If you watched this far, first of all, thank you so much for watching. Again, obviously, thank you to GrandPooBear. Let me know in the comments below if there's the next Legend of Mario you'd like to potentially see interviewed. Any questions you want to have me ask the next participant. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.